news from Independent Journal Review for December 9th. A massive fire erupted in downtown Los Angeles Monday morning at an under-construction apartment building. The fire could be seen for miles and snarled morning traffic. The site of the fire, a 7-story apartment building under construction, was already in the news and controversial. Some claimed the rent was going to be too high, and others criticized a walking bridge near the building, saying it would help residents avoid the homeless. More than 250 firefighters battled the blaze, and portions of 2 major freeways were shut down. Road signs in the area melted, and windows in nearby buildings burst from the heat. Images and videos of the fire flooded social media. The fire was largely under control within a few hours, with firefighters working on dampening hot spots during the day. Many surface streets and an interchange were closed for cleanup efforts. Remarkably, no major injuries were reported. Former executive director of the Los Angeles County Republican Party, Scott Hounsell, has filed a $5 million civil rights lawsuit against the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office. The suit alleges malicious prosecution, abuse of power, civil rights violations, slander, and libel. Last year, Hounsell was arrested for allegedly sexting a 16-year-old girl through Facebook. In a press release obtained by IJ Review, Hounsell claims the city attorney's office had evidence that the alleged victim's computer was examined by the LAPD and, quote, no evidence of illicit conversations existed. The district attorney's office declined to press charges after that investigation, but Hounsell's attorney states, quote, this was a politically motivated arrest that cost Mr. Hounsell his career and reputation. President Obama spent one night in Brisbane, Australia last month before speaking at the G20 summit. His stay at the Brisbane Marriott cost U.S. taxpayers $1.7 million and included 4,096 rooms for the presidential delegation, 3 different hotels, the logistics, security, and negotiating teams that arrived in advance of his stay and remained after he left. An entire floor of the hotel was stripped down and examined prior to his arrival, and the presidential suite cost $2,135 for one night. Meanwhile, other world leaders spent far less. British PM Cameron's room cost half that amount, and Russia's Putin spent 74% less. Japan's prime minister came in with the lowest cost for a room, staying in a hotel room that cost just $171.60 per night. And actor Mark Wahlberg has petitioned the state of Massachusetts for a pardon for a felony assault conviction he received in 1988 at the age of 16. Wahlberg was charged with assaulting 2 Vietnamese men after attempting to steal alcohol from one of them. In his petition, Wahlberg expressed a desire to become more involved with law enforcement, especially at-risk individuals. Wahlberg sees a pardon as a chance for, quote, troubled youth to see this as an inspiration and motivation that they too can turn their lives around and be formally accepted back into society. Wahlberg also states he takes full responsibility for his actions. A decision in the matter is still pending. This has been Amy Curtis with your Vigilant Liberty Radio News from Independent Journal Review for December 9th.
Now, according to my count, Miller, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 topics to cover, and we have 27 minutes to do it, which means we will get through 2.
Yeah, there's no doubt. But then we're set up for tomorrow. But no, I think. Listen, I think we need to get back to as we talked at the top of the show. The other big story. The CIA report, as I think it's officially, or at least by some, referred to as the CIA detention interrogation report, and this is, of course, from the Senate Select Committee, better known in all liberal circles as the CIA terror report. Torture report. But anyway. Yes, what I just said, here we go, being us. I just said yes as I looked over House and about the your comment about the music, dude, but we'll talk about that later. So I'm going to do this in a little reverse order here. What happened today And then back up to last night, we have a great clip from Dr. Charles Krauthammer, who Michael, I think you admire him as well. I just, he's one of the only guys that when he's on O'Reilly, O'Reilly generally shuts up and lets talk. But today, DiFi, one of your fellow Cali folks, DiFi, Dianne Feinstein, heads the committee that released the report. And I mean, just to cut to the chase, we got a lot to do in the next 25 minutes or whatever. Listen, there's a lot of controversy about this. Not only should it happen, what will be the consequences, but particularly, and I put this up on IJR this morning before DiFi came out. Should it be released? Why? And even if the answer to the first question is yes, the third question is now? Really? With what ISIS is doing? We'll talk about that after a couple of DiFi quotes. She says, quote, history will judge us by our commitment to a just society governed by law and the willingness to face an ugly truth and say, never again, as if we're talking about the Holocaust, right? So she's saying this on the floor. There may never be the right time to release this report, but this report is too damn important, like the rent's too damn high. She said just too important to shelve indefinitely. What the hell?
Well, this is the most transparent administration ever.
Mm-hmm.
And if in addition to transparency, we can perhaps undermine our national defense, undermine our security, threaten the lives of those overseas serving on our behalf, as well as tip off our, quote, enemies who need to be understood better, end quote.
Well, dude, it's a double win for them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if we can, nothing says we care more than FedExing your playbook to the opposition.
See, here's a deal that I missed. And maybe, I just wasn't paying attention because, I'm OCD. But when Obama made the statement about being the most transparent administration in history, I do not recall him saying, this will be the most politically selective transparent administration in history of the union. Did I miss something there?
No, you didn't. But you did make a mistake. You made a mistake of taking the words at face value, and obviously, things like if you like your plan, you can keep it. If you liked your doctor, you can keep it. I'm going to cut the deficit in half in my first term. Things like that. Those are only believable if you, in fact, take those words on face value, and silly you for doing that.
See, guilty as charged. But so as upset as I was, I've had a change of heart. As upset as I was this morning, I've had a change of heart. Because later on in the article, I read Barack Obama's response to the release of this report. And when I quote this to you, this is very short, I think you will have a change of heart as well, because our commander-in-chief, our president, the leader of the free world, explains very simply why this needed to happen. He says, quote, we will rely on all elements of our national power, and here are the operative words, including the power and example of our founding ideals. Our founding ideals. So, Michael, here's what
Read that again. I didn't understand what it was. Please read that again.
Yeah. Let's go back through that. We will rely on all elements of our national power, but again, the best part, including the power and example of our founding ideals. So not only did I have a change of heart, but Michael, I'm pretty sure that ISIS is damn impressed by our founding ideals. I'm sure they're also likely as hell to just long to implement our founding ideas throughout the Middle East and beyond, right?
So militarily, we're going to lead by making reference to our founding ideals. That's part of our military strategy.
Well, he didn't say anything. Dude, he didn't say anything about military. He talked about national power. I mean, we can debate that, but I'm being facetious there. But he's throwing it out there. Our founding ideals, when we bravely release this report, the people around the world, the people that hate us and saw our heads off, are going to be so impressed and inspired by that, dude. that they're going to lay down their dull beheading knives and their IEDs and their suicide vests and everything, and just want to implement policies and so forth where they live in the Middle East and beyond, based on America's founding ideas. How profound can that be, dude?
You know what? If we were talking, if we were talking about our sandwich shop, if we were talking about our new Color Me Mine location, that is a brilliant way to lead. You know that. You know, it's funny.
How much more naive can you be, particularly after you've had your ass handed to you around the world? You have leader after leader, from Putin to the Middle East to the little moron in North Korea, laughing at you. It used to be behind closed doors. Now it's out in public. How naive can you be to go through 6 years of humiliation and still say something ridiculously moronic like that?
You know what it makes me think of? A buddy of mine in San Diego. He's a part-time radio talk show host. He's also a writer. He sent me a link of an article that he wrote, and thinking about what Obama just said about this, this guy's article, and I'll put it up on our thing. He was talking about this type of thing, and he was asking to consider. What would happen if this kind of idea, this kind of thinking were in place as a result of the attacks on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941.
Right.
So if we take the world, December 7th, 1941, 2 days and 63 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and you think about the speech that Franklin Delano Roosevelt gave, and then you put today's thinking on top of it. Let me just read you the last paragraph of this, okay? And what this is, again, this is reimagining FDR's speech after the December 7th attacks, but it's reimagining it with the kind of ideas and leadership that you're just making reference to here with Obama. I'm going to read this last paragraph.
Perfect.
Our goal then on this sober day is a surgical military response. Rest assured our intelligence is on it. We will locate the exact pilots who bombed Pearl Harbor and bring them to justice in a court of law. If during that process a larger conflict ensues, I call upon both sides to show restraint. This is a tragedy, but it would be a much bigger tragedy if anyone came to the mistaken impression that we are at war, or if they looked at Japan as anything other than what it is. A peaceful country whose sole ambition is to bring tranquility and brotherhood to the entire world.
You just can't make it up. I mean, the only thing I'd add to that is, the surgical strike thing. He would have prefaced it with, after we consult with our allies and build a broad coalition, we will implement surgical strikes.
That's right. As I'm going through this is so good. Let me just continue. Now I know some of you are calling this attack upon Pearl Harbor evil, and often I've been asked if I personally believe real evil exists in the world. Well, I do. But I also think we need to have some humility regarding evil, for America is certainly guilty of its own shares of evil. We once held slaves, don't forget. True, that ended a little less than 100 years ago, but I'm just saying, slavery once existed. At times like this, we need to show empathy for those who look at the world differently than we do. Instead of being so quick to write them off as enemies, why not try to look at things from their point of view? What are they thinking? How are they feeling? Maybe Japan thought we attacked them. True, we didn't actually wage an attack in so many words, but what about the oil embargo? Maybe to them it was an attack. I mean, that is international relations, Barack Obama, 2014.
And you know what I mean? Some could say that's satire, but it's really not. It's the mindset, it's the worldview of Barack Obama.
Yeah, it is satire only for those of us that hear what you just read in response to this, and we get sick to our stomach. For us, it's satire. For a big swath of America, hearing stuff like that is worthy of a hearty huzzah and another piece of sushi.
And leftists around the world cheering in the streets for his courageous response. Hey, listen, we can probably knock this out in the next minute, minute and a half, and then we got to do something else. We don't get to all 11, but I think you play pick 'em